So as you can imagine, with this situation being very fresh, as in it happened very recently, a lot of information is coming out by the hour, okay? Hence why I uploaded 2 videos talking about the situation yesterday. Well, even though I posted them 2 videos previously, a lot more stuff has came out since then, which we're going to cover in today's video. Now, I don't usually like to post multiple videos in a row off the same topic, but this situation is so big. We've been covering 8 passengers on this channel for about 4 or 5 years, maybe a bit longer. And within that time, there seemed like there was no consequences for Ruby and then eventually Jodi, who got involved later on. But now it feels like justice is finally being served, so I feel like I should be covering this as much as I possibly can. I've been covering it for God knows how many years when nothing was actually happening, like there was no consequences happening, and obviously a bunch of you guys have watched my videos for years. Like, I feel like I should be giving you the updates, right? It's a weird one because I actually do have another video that I recorded the day before we found out all this information, which is much more lighthearted. It's like some TikTok drama and stuff, but I feel weird about uploading it because obviously with how serious this topic is, I don't want it to like look a bit like insensitive or whatnot. But if you do want to see that video, obviously a little bit more of a lighthearted one, let me know in the comment section down below and I'll upload that, and obviously we'll keep updated with this situation on top of that. But as for the updates within the last 24 hours, we've got a bunch of new statements, some from people that we hadn't heard from yet. We've also got some new information from some new articles that have been posted, and we also have the police scanner call when this situation was taking place. And yeah, let's start with the statements. So just an hour ago, as I'm recording this video, Jodi Franke has actually posted on her story again saying, "Connexions and Mums of Truth needs to go. Please report their Instagram accounts and encourage everybody to unfollow them. They do not deserve such a large audience." Now I've got to say, I find it very bizarre that it's actually taking Jodi to tell people to report these accounts before anything happens. Surely the social media companies should be taking action at this point. Like, yeah, I get the fact that the pages were up there for so long because of freedom of speech and whatnot, right? But now this has turned into such a serious situation where 2 people have been arrested for very serious potential charges. You would think that like YouTube and Facebook and whatnot would take some action on themselves, but I mean, like, do we have faith in them platforms? Obviously not. But yeah, this was Jodi's recent message to report the accounts so they can get taken down, which I assume means that she has got all the information that she needs, because obviously she was asking for the clips yesterday. A bunch of people sent in a bunch of clips. Obviously I sent a few clips that I had as well. Hopefully she has everything she needs now, and yeah, if you want to help out, there you go. We also have a statement from Kevin Franke's attorney, obviously the father here, that says, "Urgent focus is simply to keep his children together under his fatherly care." Now obviously we heard rumours of Kevin actually being arrested himself. It seems like that possibly isn't the case. Maybe he was just taken into police custody to be questioned, which I assume would happen anyways, right? But it doesn't seem like he was arrested, and in fact this article goes on further to say, "In the wake of Ruby Franke's arrest, Kevin Franke has reportedly taken charge of ensuring their children's well-being, keeping them under his care and away from the public eye." So if we're believing this article, it seems like the children, or at least some of the children, are with Kevin right now, which obviously has a lot of people extremely worried. Because even though it is very possible that Kevin didn't know about this recent situation that actually got the police involved, you know what happened a few days ago, it is still no secret that Kevin isn't exactly an angel, and in fact a bunch of the same accusations that Ruby has had throughout the years have also been very valid for Kevin as well. It just seems like we haven't heard from Kevin in a while because obviously Ruby and Kevin reportedly split, so we haven't heard of Kevin. But when they were together in these videos before Connexions was even a thing, Kevin and Ruby were getting the same amount of criticism. They were doing the same stuff. So you can understand why a lot of people are extremely worried about this. And let's remember as well, when Jodi did her Mother's and Father's Day posts, she didn't include her parents. Even on Father's Day, she didn't post about Kevin. She posted about other male role models in her family. So if we try to look into that, it seems like Jodi also doesn't want anything to do with Kevin. Obviously, that's just speculation. Also, there was a bunch of rumours that Kevin actually got fired from his job at BYU because of these accusations that came out. But then it seems like Kevin actually got let go from his job in spring 2023. So obviously, we don't know the exact reason why he was fired from BYU earlier this year. But there's been a lot of reports that he wasn't a good professor. And in fact, I believe there's a website literally called like Rate My Professor over in America where you can give reviews for people who have taught you. And let's just say Kevin's reviews were very, very negative. I truly did not have a great experience in this class. It wasn't an insanely hard class. I take schoolwork very seriously and I have never had any issues with a professor before now. Hard professors are one thing, but downright rude, dismissive, and arrogant is another. Save yourself the misery if you can and take something else with someone else. class. He was very rude and mean. He spoke down to students in a disrespectful manner. Unable to get in contact outside of the class, he is very controlling, and you can only have the same views that he has or you'll be looked down on. Caused me so much stress that I dropped out. This professor is so full of himself. He always makes sure to remind the class that he is the leader and he will guide us into a healthier style of life. So hard to get in touch with him outside of the lecture, very unprofessional. So yeah, unfortunately these reviews aren't exactly surprising from everything we know about Kevin and Ruby Franke. Remember, Kevin was actually part of Mums of Truth at the beginning before they split. He was in a bunch of the videos. They did like these like Zoom calls where they would talk about specific situations, and he held very similar views. In fact, one video you probably remember is, I believe it was either last Christmas or the Christmas before, where Kevin and Ruby were on a call on Connexions talking about how they didn't give two of their kids Christmas presents, but give the rest of their kids Christmas presents, and made the two kids watch the other kids open the presents as a bit of like a punishment. And these kids were very young, and they just had their Christmas ruined for what, right? Bad behaviour. And if I had to guess, I don't even think they probably did anything that overly deep, because everything we've heard about Ruby and Kevin when they talk about punishing their kids, it's about something that isn't that serious. So yeah, like I said, you can see why a lot of people are very worried about the possibility that Kevin is getting involved. We also have a very brief statement from Jodi Hildebrandt, who was obviously arrested for the same charges, that says, "Miss Hildebrandt requested a lawyer and did not speak with us. Once given her charges, Miss Hildebrandt informed me that children should never be allowed around any of her kids," police wrote. Now this quote confused me for a long time, because I don't really understand what she's trying to say, but the fact she's saying the children should never be allowed around any of her kids makes me feel like she is blaming the kids for this situation. Like, maybe I'm reading too much into it. Let me know in the comments if you think I am. But it seems like she is saying that because the kids, like, escaped through the window and went to a neighbour, that's why Jodi and Ruby are in trouble, and it's not the fact that they put the kids in that position in the first place. And I really shouldn't be surprised if that's actually what she meant, because Jodi and Ruby have made multiple videos throughout the years talking about how, like, kids are dishonest and that you need to punish them if they're being dishonest. And by the way, when she's saying that these kids are dishonest, it could be something like, oh, they have an eating disorder and they didn't tell me, or they feel like they could be gay and they didn't tell me. And according to Jodi and Ruby, that is a good reason to punish your children, and in fact believe that so hard that they told other parents to do the same. So if that is what she meant here, and she is trying to blame the children, I'm lost for words, but I can't for the life of me figure out what else she would mean from that quote. Now we also have a statement from Bonnie, who is Ruby's sister, who posted a 2-minute video onto YouTube, kind of giving her thoughts.
It is Thursday evening, and this week has been nothing that I could have anticipated. I don't think any of us could have really anticipated.
Yeah, you can only imagine how fucking tough this situation must be for everyone in the family. I mean, Ruby's sisters have been very public with their opinions on Ruby for a good while now. I want to say like a year or so, talking about how they don't agree with anything Ruby is saying on Connexions, Mums of Truth, and what she is doing. I'm not sure if they knew the extent of what was happening, like what we saw in the reports. I'm not sure if that is a recent thing, but yeah, I mean, this must be so fucking tough.
Seen news articles on my sister, Ruby, from the 8 passengers, and my sisters and I, we are on the very same page. We put out a message, you can read that on Instagram, and for the last 3 years we have truly clung on to each other and offering support to one another, and I don't think any of us could have ever seen this coming.
Yeah, I mean, as she just said there, and she also put in the statement that was on Instagram, this seems to have been going on for 3 years, right? We didn't actually hear about anyone in the family speaking out publicly until about a year ago, I want to say. But the fact that she says this has been going on for 3 years is really fucking worrying. That's a long time frame, and God knows what happened within that time frame, but clearly something did that resulted in her family not wanting to speak to her anymore. And as Shari said in her statement, they've been trying to contact the police and CPS for years now, and they didn't do anything up until now. So they've been trying to help, and they've been extremely worried about this for so long with nothing happening. I feel like there's probably a little bit of maybe relief now that something's actually happening, justice is being served. But on top of that, this must be incredibly sad, especially with how serious the accusations are, right?
We all did as much as we could legally, and you don't know what you don't know. I do feel a little bit numb at this point.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to watch the whole way through the video. If you do want to see it, it is on Bonnie's channel. But yeah, you can imagine how they're feeling at this point, and it's Probably worse than you can imagine, right? She does go on to say in the video that the kids are safe, which is obviously the main thing, right? That is the absolute priority in this situation. So that is good news. And yeah, I just can't imagine how tough it must be. But like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the police scanner call has actually been released. It is very long. I'll give you kind of just a brief view of what it's like.
Ruby said a 12-year-old male showed up with tape around his legs Thursday asking for help, said he was afraid asking for police.
Yeah, so as you can hear, that's her describing like what happened. A 12-year-old had tape around his legs and arms and was asking for help, asking for the police. Now, like I said, the call is very long and there's a lot of pauses throughout where they're just kind of giving like police codes and whatnot. But we do have a transcript of the call, so we can take a look at some of the key details, right? So they say here the male does have duct tape around his ankle. He's not telling the RP why, and said that there's sores around his wrists and ankles. He's becoming, or correction, the RP is becoming emotional regarding the child's health. I'm going to go ahead and have a medical take on this one. Here they talk about how the child left Jodi Hildebrandt's house. Obviously it wasn't Ruby's, which we know. He's also saying that 2 of his sisters are back at the home as well. Obviously we heard that there was only 2 kids there in general, so I'm not sure if this turned out to be true or not, but in the articles it does say there was 2 kids there, not the 3 of them. Here they say that the wounds on his legs are pretty good. He means good as in bad based on his tone. He seems almost at a loss for words. Here it says his wounds, they're in need of immediate care. Like, bloody fucking hell. Like, I don't know, how, I don't understand how you could do this to a child, man. Fucking child. Here they find out that Ruby Franke is the mother, and they actually go on to say that they're both showing as therapists from Salt Lake and associated through social media as well. Yeah, I can imagine that must have been very shocking when they found out that these 2 people give parental advice and they're involved in this situation. Like, imagine finding out for the first time. Yeah, here they confirm that they looked at her Facebook. Her and Jodi are both therapists. And I've actually heard the audio from this. She seems very confused when she's saying this, and for good reason. They said that they had some involvement with Ruby Franke on the 25th of this month. It was a traffic offence. Obviously, they just go through, like, the other times that they've spoke to said person before when they're in a situation like this. And yeah, the rest of it is a lot of, like, codes and stuff that I'm not aware of what they mean. But yeah, they're kind of the key points, and yeah, it must have been a fucking distressing thing to see for the officers who obviously showed up at the house. But either way, that is it for the updates that we have right now. By the time I upload this video, there's probably going to be more stuff. So yeah, you can expect like updates in the future. I just want to end it with this video that I actually saw on Reddit of Jodi about a year ago talking about truth, and goes on to say that there is nothing too extreme in truth to teach your children. And I just think in hindsight, watching this clip, it's fucking infuriating.
And she said that my punishment for my son was too heavy and that I favor my daughter. I hope you stood up and said no.
Yeah, so obviously you just heard someone is asking for advice, and they believe that their punishment for their son was too heavy, and now Ruby is going to go on to say that there is nothing too heavy and nothing too extreme.
There is nothing too extreme inside truth to reflect to him what is going on. So I don't think you've gone far enough.
Yeah, I mean, horrible, horrible, horrible human being. But yeah, like I said, that is it for the updates. I'd love to know your opinions down below in the comment section. Obviously, this situation has been very heavy for a lot of people. It's been building up for years, it feels like. And yeah, I don't even know what to say. This is so fucking bad. And yeah, hopefully justice is actually served. That's what we can pray for now. And yeah, like I mentioned, obviously I'll keep you guys updated. If you want to subscribe and you are new, please do. And until the next one, I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, goodbye.